Thank you for tuning into the Tangy Report. I'll be talking about and aligning some irony associated with Takeoff's death and their grandmother's death, who died at 82, and just trying to look at the bigger picture in regards to if this was a sacrifice. So, if we look closely here, um, I did not make that 666 picture up. That was the amount of subscribers on YouTube at the time in which I tuned into um, Quavo's account. Now, I don't know if it's just the timing of it all. I don't know if it's by chance. I looked at it at that time, but I do know it was right after Takeover's death that Quavo had a 666 amount of subscribers, 666,000. And now, if you look at it, it has changed. I think it went to like 667, etc. But I thought the irony was that that 666 like popped up right after Takeoff's death. So in this next clip, I just want you to hear what
More
Quavo
and one more,
says.
just like a regular, but it's like you got to keep feeding.
Just like the dope.
Yeah,
Like the
man.
goddamn dope. Got to
Killer
sell.
at the door. Now we have his solo album, The Last Rocket. Look at the numbers, people. We have our November, which is our 11, our 2018, right, which is the 28-year-old years of age that he was, and then our 1, which is the first. He died on the 1st of November. So we have 111, which is November 1st, and then that 2018, you can pull that 28 out because he was 28 years old. Now, I'm not a numerologist. I don't claim to be one, and I have not tried to be one, but I'm just looking at the irony of the numbers based on historical allegations of planned murders, if you will, and sacrifices. And again, this is for entertainment purposes only. But that 11128 is very ironic, as I would say. And the name of that album was The Last Rocket, almost like it was a foreshadow of that being his last solo project and the date that he would die. So Quavo made a very interesting statement on Drink Champ, stating that the 23 must always be in their lives. I'm not a numerologist. I don't study numbers. I don't get into any of that, okay? But I do know that in these sacrifices, my understanding is those who get into satanic behaviors, one of the things that they do is they deal with numbers. Now, here you see it for yourself, because that is closed caption with him saying the number 23, we gotta have a number 23 always in our lives. So let's line this number up regarding Takeoff's death, okay? So now we're approaching the numbers 28. They had a grandmother that died at 82. If you reverse that, that's 28. That is Takeoff's age of death. Now, the grandmother passed away in March of 2000 and let's see. I'm sorry this video is going so slow. 2019. There's your 23. March is the 3rd month, and there's your 2. Now you saw for yourself, Quavo says everything has to be associated with 23 with them, okay? The call came in at 2:34 in the morning. There is your 23 again. And that someone at the age of 23 was shot. There's your 23 again. Now that 234 is interesting because Nori says something very peculiar on Drink Champs referring to 234, and he went on and on. But anyway, let's focus on that 23. Now, next we have that these guys started in 2008, there's your 28, his age of death, and that they really found their fame in 2013. That is your 23 again. So these numbers are definitely aligning. Now, there's rumored that when these things happen, that all of the big players, the famous people, the media are all involved. And I looked at a few media outlets reporting it, and I'm noticing that 28, for example, in this clip, 1 minute and 28, it was broadcasted. Again, 28 years old for Takeoff's death, and that November, that 1 and that 28. And here we are again, another news outlet with a 32. I mean, is this coincidence? All the numbers in the world. It couldn't be 4:55 p.m. It had to be 4:32. Again, that's 23 backwards in reporting Takeoff's passing or anything dealing with Takeoff's tragic death. So it's just not irony, people. It could have been 401, right? It could have been 405. They are lining these numbers up, and it seems to be mostly associated with when they're reporting his death. And here we are again. Quavo speaking that his jury is 300,000 and 200,000, which is that 23. Why couldn't the jury be 500,000 and 10,000, or 10, whatever the numbers are. The point is that he made it very clear. He put that 23 out there, and that was the reporting time of Takeoff's death. Now, don't be anyone's fool. Let's look closely at the drink champs timestamps, right? We got our 32. There's our 23. Actually, we have our 234, the time of the phone call, reporting that Takeoff passed away. And then we have our 111, which is November 1st. They're putting it right in front of our face as if we're fools. And here we are with Nori explaining that, musicians only get paid up to 10 albums, but they made 18. And very briefly, there's our 10 plus our 18 equals 28, which is again the death of Takeoff's age. I know I'm repetitive, but I'm just trying to bring these facts together because they are facts, right? I'm not making it up. I can prove it. It's right in front of your eyes. And you can go into Drink Champs and listen for yourself. And if you really listen to it, you will see it gets very peculiar, down to the point where Nori gives Takeoff his quote unquote flowers, which, before he passes, the symbolism behind it. It's real deep, people. So the first thing I want you to take notice is to that 111. That is November 1st, which is the day that the gentleman passed away. And if you notice in the Messy video, there's an argument over people gambling. And this is reflected in the Messy video. So how ironic. The timestamp on the argument in the video is 111, November 1st. Don't be fooled by these people. Again, they're putting the messages right in front of your face to be seen. So I notice here in watching Drink Champs, if you notice, Booby Trap is on Quavo's cup. Almost like he's saying, hey, we know booby traps to be a setup, right? If you look at it a little closer, because in the Messy video, it seems like the whole video was about staying away from a woman that's a problem, and I'll get a little more into that. A booby trap could also symbolize a woman coming in between the two of them, or a woman causing problems. But me analyzing this, I can definitely state that a booby trap is a setup. And I didn't notice it on Takeoff's foam cup that was on the table. I did try to do a little research to see if there were any restaurants in the neighborhood named Booby Trap. I don't watch Drink Champs often, I don't know if that's a cup they give to everybody, but it was definitely suspicious. So next, I noticed, again, they're not letting this young lady in the house, saying she's a problem, she's messy. But I noticed that there, in this shot, Takeoff is walking in between two people arguing, the young lady with the ponytail and the gentleman. What's interesting, if you watch the actual video, he walks in between them arguing, but he takes a cup from the gentleman who's arguing with the young lady, as if he knows that gentleman. I think that's what that symbolizes. But he's still going in between two people that are arguing. And then again, if you look in the back room of the video, there's another argument. To me, this symbolizes that a woman came in between the group and caused problems, and it might have affected their contract. Well, probably definitely affected their contract, but there's definitely an issue there. So here is the reenactment of the disagreement that Quavo had with Saweetie in the elevator. And that made news. But take notice again, there's that 23. It just, all the numbers in the world, my friends. It cannot be coincidence that these same patterns of numbers are showing up. And here's the article regarding the disagreement. So this messy video about not letting this woman in because she's messy. And rumor also had it that she had to do with Offset allegedly. So a contract is an agreement that you agree to, and once this group broke up, I question, did they void their contract, right? Causing greater issues among themselves by doing so. So let's talk about foreshadowing, and there's a lot of foreshadowing here. Foreshadowing is almost like a reflection of what's gonna happen. They have this man standing next to skeleton bones, which represents death. They also have him standing next to the Green Reaper, which represents death. I'm not seeing any other, I'm not seeing Quavo next to these symbolisms of death. Now, outside of that, you see this gun and it's pointed at the Migos contract, but I also notice it's pointed toward Takeoff no matter how the shot is in the video. And I find that very interesting. But just to have a gun near the Migos contract symbolizes that there's definitely possibly a motive. But again, my biggest concern is the gun is always directed toward toward Takeover in the way they did the shots in the video. Now, speaking of guns, on Drink Champs, Nori kept saying they don't call it a gun, they don't call it a gun. It's a smoke gun. They put whatever they put in it, and I guess they blow it in the air, But what I found interesting is how Nori aimed it directly at Takeoff's head. And we know that unfortunately he was shot in the head. And Nori kept saying, we don't call it a gun. So next I noticed before the show ended, before they gave Takeoff his quote unquote flowers. I mean, why didn't Quavo get flowers, right? But meanwhile, I'm just thinking. Meanwhile, near the end, Quavo's talking about his, there's four guys over in the corner from Brooklyn, and they're his pop-out boys. And he had to get that out. These are my pop-out boys. Now, when I think of pop out, first of all, you're scaring somebody or you're surprising somebody. And then you could also think of it as pop out, pop, 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 a gun being shot. And it was animate. I mean, the credits were rolling, saying clearly it was the end of the show, and he had to get that in. Now, I can't explain exactly what this is. I know this is a celebrity type dude, and he was crying at her over Takeoff, death. But I'm noticing his red dye hair and these two braids looking like horns of that demonic goat. I'm gonna see if I can find a picture and put it up. They send these type of symbols to let you know that they're on each other's team when they're in that dark satanic world. And ironically, whoever is I'm thinking this is Instagram Live. I don't know what to believe about this one because look at the 23 there. You know, I don't know if that was a real user. I don't know if this was just, a play on people's minds. But those two braids look like horns if you pull that demonic goat up. And the fact that they're dyed red, it just looks really, really suspicious to
A
me.
little
The
bit it's like you
timing.
gotta keep feeding it.
Listen to
Just like the dope.
Quavo.
Yeah,
Like the
Killer
man.
at the
goddamn
door.
dope.
Got to sell it.
Got this.
Did you all hear that? Killer at the door. You have to sell it. Why? Why? Such an odd statement from Quavo. God bless you. Takeoff. May you rest in peace. Please like and subscribe. Thank you for listening to the Tangi Report.